Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest top 5 video, the show where I give my top 5 on a particular topic in progressive rock. The topics are generated by my wife. She just gives me a topic and then off the top of my head I come up with 5 things that come to mind immediately based on the topic. So it's a little bit more of a short form video, just me off the cuff, just thinking what comes to mind. So not as much research or notes come into this, it's more just what I'm thinking about at the time. So hopefully you enjoy that style show. If you do, then please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Any subscriptions really would improve the channel and help me grow and help me in my content creation here. So I'd really appreciate it. And I also would appreciate likes and comments. Give your guys' top 5 lists or ideas for future topics for top 5 videos. So today I'm talking about the top 5 Steven Wilson songs as a solo artist. So I'm going to start with number 5, which is My Book of Regrets from the album 4.5, kind of a shorter EP style album that came out in between records. And I love this track. It's a long, near 10-minute song that sounds like it could be classic Porcupine Tree, has a great acoustic feel in parts, some synth soloing, some rumbling bass work. It's a good indication of the band he was with at this time, the touring band and the band that was playing on his records that are just excellent. Reminds me of parts of Time Flies by Porcupine Tree, which is one of my favorite tracks from them. Just a great showcase for this group. For Steven Wilson, it has some great melodies, sounds like classic Porcupine Tree, has almost a bit of Pink Floyd style in the middle of it, and just this really groovy, fun, and really interesting track that I've really always loved from that 4.5 little mini album that came out. At number 4, I'm going to pick 12 Things I Forgot from The Future Bites, which I know The Future Bites isn't many people's favorite album from Steven Wilson as a solo artist, because he's embracing more of a pop sound, more of this 80s synth pop style, abandoning a little bit of his prog roots that he was really getting into in his albums prior. But I really like the album. I really love the production. It just sounds so clean and so well done. Steven Wilson is of course a master at that, mixing and mastering all of that stuff. He does a lot of classic prog albums and remasters them. But this is a standout to me from The Future Bites, 12 Things I Forgot. Somewhat of a classic song. Amongst all these more modern pop style sounding songs, this stands out as more of a breezy, cool, classic, lighthearted Porcupine Tree song from like Lightbulb Sun, Stupid Dream era. It just feels very nostalgic and very just classic, and has some beautiful, great melodies, some great background vocals, and almost a sing-along style feel. Just a great chorus that is always so memorable to me, and just immediately when I hear it, it just connects with me on a deep level. So I've always loved 12 Things I Forgot and think it's a standout that maybe people forget about from this album. Number 3, I've picked Deform to Form a Star from Grace for Drowning. This is just a beauty of a track, just a majestic in scope, epic in feel, but also has these lighter, more laid-back moments that are just full of majesty. Starts with this light piano melody that's very heavenly and beautiful, feels grand and epic. A little bit of a flute sound gets added into the mix, and it just makes me think like I'm out in space. Maybe the star theme of the title just makes me think I'm floating out in this majestic open space with all these stars and heavenly bodies. It's just something that really is evocative to me, and it just continues on that way with this just beautiful, gorgeous melody, grand fill with strings and drums coming in, and it's a beautiful track that I think Steven Wilson expertly crafted, has just some gorgeous sections to it, and it's just a really great sound. So I really appreciate that one. Number 2 that I've picked is Ancestral from Hand Cannot Erase. I love Hand Cannot Erase. I think it's an incredible album that is a conceptual album that Steven Wilson created that is off the rails with musicianship and just is really well crafted and is always a highlight to me. But the one clear highlight of the whole album is Ancestral to me. Just this wonderful track. It's like 13 minutes long. It's the climax of the album, and it starts out slower and beautiful and haunting with some swelling strings and tinkling piano, beautiful vocals. And this leads into this absolutely stellar guitar solo, one of the best ever recorded as far as I'm concerned, from Guthrie Govan. Just really, really stellar and blows the wings off of the ship here. What? it really is outstanding and really does something amazing. And it's this slow build-up. They have this kind of off-kilter melody that keeps repeating and repeating and getting heavier and heavier until the band just explodes and bursts with this really high-energy section that just keeps getting harder and faster and more intense, and it's just really a breathtaking moment of music. Marco Miniman on drums is just going off the rails here. It's an incredible epic build of a track that I think really succeeds in what it's trying to go for. Really love this track. Just check it out if you haven't heard it. It's a masterpiece. Number one, though, I'm going to have to go to The Raven That Refused to Sing, the album, and pick a track from it, not the actual title track, which I love as well. And many people would probably pick that as a number one. But my number one is actually The Watchmaker from that album, because I really find a lot of beauty to it, especially as it starts with this 12-string guitar strumming. Feels like a tribute to early Genesis, like sounds a bit like Cinema Show perhaps, with a hypnotic continuing guitar strumming melody. Haunting and dark as it continues forward. You know, the album The Raven That Refused to Sing is about all these dark, haunting ghost stories, and this is no exception. It's a song about an old man who kills his wife of 50 years and buries her under the staircase, so definitely a super dark topic. But it starts out this like lighthearted, proggy, 12-string style feel like Genesis, but morphs as it continues forward as things get more darker and more intense, and you end with almost a King Crimson-esque feel towards the end with this darker, more foreboding melody. So it really takes you on a journey, and that's what I love about progressive rock, and I love about these more extended pieces. And once again, there's an excellent Guthrie Govan guitar solo in the middle there that's just off the charts great, leading into some sax soloing, which is really excellent as well. Just really a beautiful track with some great melodies and some beautiful playing. Really personifies this album, The Raven That Refused to Sing, really well. And because to me that album was a showcase for Steven Wilson's love of early progressive rock, and showcases all his early influences from King Crimson to Genesis to Yes, and all of those styles are all present within all of the songs there. And this is just the culmination of all of that into a beautiful story. Great lyrics, great storytelling, and just a really excellent closer. Not a closer, but an excellent cap on the album, an excellent portion of the album that really comes off well. So those are my top 5 Steven Wilson solo tracks. I also had on my list Detonation from To the Bone, which is one of the more proggier tracks from a less proggy album from Steven, but I've always appreciated that, so that really is high on my list as well. But there's so many great tracks that I could point to, but these are the ones that really stood out to me when asked this question of what my favorite top 5 songs from Steven Wilson are. So let me know in the comments, what are your top 5 Steven Wilson solo tracks? You know, do you agree? Do you disagree with my list? How do you feel about what I put here? And as always, put any suggestions down in the comments as well of shows and topics that I could cover on Top 5 in the future. So thank you guys once again for joining me for this short style show, and hopefully you enjoyed your time here. So enjoy the music, everybody. Bye.